Since the announcement on November 10th that Xero is acquiring Locate, or has now acquired Locate, and intends to sunset its main product by October 10th, 2020, I've been thinking a lot about the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Some of you may have read this book, some of you may not have. For those of you who have not read this book, it's about a couple of little people and a couple of mice who are tasked to go through the maze and eat cheese. And one day they find a mound of cheese that is so enormous, the little people decide to camp out at the cheese and set up camp and set up home. And then they're taken off guard that one day this big mound of cheese either runs out or is moved, and they no longer have their security for the cheese. Obviously, the comparison is Locate is going away, and we've been told that the cheese will be moved. And this book makes a lot of good points and asks a lot of thought-provoking questions that help in times where change is out of our control. Let's look at this picture here. There's 4 characters in this book, and each character has their strengths and their weaknesses. Ha is a character who is one that camped out by the cheese. He's startled by change. He didn't really like the change, and he camped out. Hem hated change, loved stability, and really cursed the maze gods that moved his cheese. He's the one that screamed the longest and the loudest, "Who moved my cheese?" He was extremely angry. Scurry and Sniff, as soon as the cheese was moved, they just started going through the maze again and looking for some new cheese. Sniff would sniff it out, and Scurry would run over to see if the cheese was in that hall, and then Sniff would sniff out some more, and Scurry would run to find some more cheese. So Sniff and Scurry found the cheese, the next pile of cheese, almost immediately. Hem and Ha didn't believe that there was a new pile of cheese. Hem almost starved to death in the book. Ha finally convinced Hem to follow him, I think. It's been a while since I've read this book. It's not a long book. I made my kids listen to this book on a road trip about a year ago. I thought it was really applicable to the pandemic crisis, the COVID crisis. Some of my kids had to find another job. Some of them were still out of a job looking. And this book, I was hoping would really help them. They did listen to it a little bit. But I thought it would be helpful to the 170 companies that rely on Locate as their inventory platform, who have been notified that their cheese will be permanently gone October of 2022. And the $5,000 incentive to get off the platform by June, I think it was, has a time limit as well. So everyone is encouraged to start looking for the new block of cheese. I'm going to pull up this graph again. This graph was in a previous video. I've kind of toyed around with some new ones. Locate referenced Fishbowl Inventory, Sin 7, Deer, and the other one was Unleashed software. You'll see in this graph which ones are the most popular. If we were to remove Deer and add Unleashed, I wish we could fit them all on here. It shows that Unleashed isn't as popular, but the fact that Locate is endorsing them and pointing them out makes me think that maybe popularity isn't everything, but they're worth a look. In a previous video, I shared this spreadsheet that inventory software programs. Basically, it's data on still building this, still working on this, and always will be as we discover and learn more. So that's my plug. If you haven't read this book, Who Moved My Cheese? I highly recommend it. Definitely want to look it up. It's a cute story. It's a short book with some powerful, thought-provoking metaphors, concepts, and principles. I'm Lance, inventory software expert since 2006. Subscribe below if you'd like to know more about inventory software that connects to QuickBooks.